Hey, welcome to Brothers-In-Flaw Sports. I am your host, Normie, and the other host of this fine program is Cunado. So, Cunado, how you doing this week?
I'm doing okay, Normie. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Little disappointed. I mean, Super Bowl week is always kind of you know, yeah, I'm so excited the Super Bowl's finally here, but then it's also, there goes football season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely got that bittersweet element of this is it until next year.
yeah, especially because it starts with that national championship, and then it's like playoffs, and you're like, oh, it's ending, but I want to see all these things so badly and see how everything plays out.
Yeah,
And especially this year's Super Bowl, we got Kansas City Chiefs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kansas City returning again to their second straight Super Bowl. Tom Brady coming back from on a different team to his 10th Super Bowl, if I'm right.
10th.
Uh,
Yeah,
so his 10th Super Bowl in his career.
it's just
And
under 20% of all the Super Bowls that have ever been played. He has appeared in.
wow.
Yeah,
I mean, that's when they always talk about the GOAT, that is a stat that it it's hard to get past that one.
it's mind-boggling, and
Yeah.
his record so far is 6-3 in those. So it's not like he just gets there. He wins them when he's there.
Yeah, it's not a Buffalo Bills where they got to four straight and lost four straight. Well, alrighty. So let's get started. What are your just kind of initial thoughts on the game?
Well, initially, I'm just super pumped about it. Honestly, I don't have a real dog in the fight. I think if I had a team that I'm pulling for, I might lean the Chiefs just because their offense is so much fun to watch. But if the Buccaneers win, I'm not a Chiefs fan, and it would be watching the GOAT do GOAT stuff, which I long past, have gotten over hating Tom Brady. He dealt my Rams a huge loss to kick his Hall of Fame career off back in 2002.
Yeah.
So I hated him. I hated him for a long time because he just then got better and better and better and became the greatest to have ever done it. And then also dealt my Rams a pretty heartbreaking loss just a couple of years ago. But once again, I'm over that. I don't pull against him if he wins. Now it's just like, okay, it's kind of like watching Jordan. Even if you're not a Bulls fan, if he's not playing the team that you pull for, you kind of want to see him do something awesome. But also just two really exciting teams on both sides of the ball. I know offense gets a lot of the highlights for both teams, but I mean defensively they have stars up and down the field uh, on both teams. It's a really good Super Bowl matchup. It's really fun. I feel electric about this one. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's the Super Bowl and a year ago, pretty much from right now, give or take a month or two, we didn't even know if we would have football. So
Yeah. I mean, that's how crazy this season has actually been. I know for me, I'm like you. I really don't have a dog in this fight. Uh, I know growing up, I was more of a Titans fan just for location and geography wise. Now where I'm living now, I've been past couple of years more of a Falcons fan, and whew, man, that's been a tough one to be. I still pull for them if they're on. I'll watch them, but
as a Falcons fan, you know as well as I do, what it feels like
exactly.
to lose to Tom Brady.
Yep, I do know that feeling, especially just to completely implode. That, ooh, I will always remember that Super Bowl. And
I
but
think we all will.
yes, definitely. I remember after that, I was kind of embarrassed to say that I was a Falcons fan But even though I got a Falcons jersey in my closet, I couldn't say I'm not. So this is the first ever year that a team in the Super Bowl is actually going to host the Super Bowl. But due to COVID restrictions, I think it's going to be 20,000, 20 something thousand fans, 20 or 25.
Yeah, I believe it's 20. It's between 22 and 25. I think. I know that it's only 30% capacity, and 7,500 of those fans might not actually be fans of either team. It's just rewarding first line responders who have been vaccinated.
Okay.
So they might not really care about the game team wise, other than just watching the game. So that also takes away from the fan element of as far as diehard Buccaneers fans.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like if I got a ticket to, I don't know, the SEC championship, but Alabama's not in it, I'm still going to go watch it because
Exactly.
I've never been to an SEC championship. But so that is a kind of a disappointing thing where it's like finally we get to see, okay, does this home field advantage stuff really matter? Got it into the Super Bowl. Of course, Tampa Bay would be the team that finally make it back to the Super Bowl. It's at their home field, and they can't even have their fans there.
It does, for whatever reason, scream Tampa Bay. The NFL shut them down on shooting the cannons off on their pirate ship. That's one of the things they do every time they score in Raymond James Stadium. But because it's supposed to be a neutral field, they're not allowed to do that for the Super Bowl this year. And oh man, I can't remember the other stat that I saw about them being home team. But what I will say, just to slip in this one thing for, they might be the first Super Bowl team in history to play in their home stadium. But I wouldn't be shocked if it happens again next year because that's being hosted in LA. That's a topic for a whole different webcast. I won't delve into it too much. I've got a short video coming here in the next few days about that, but just know that I am very excited about news coming out of my Los Angeles Rams camp.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Chargers. Sorry, I could not resist that. That was too easy.
We're gonna softball them up like that. What else can I expect?
Exactly. So let's see. So the offensive wise, what for both teams? What are some good things and bad things that you see that could potentially play a big role in this game?
Well, for Kansas City, their offense it barely gets slowed down. I mean, every once in a while it will bog down, but it's more like you hope to minimize the damage. They're going to get some yards. They're going to get some points. That's basically been their mantra since Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes joined forces. And everywhere Reid's been, his offenses have been really strong. They have weapons, really, really fast weapons. They're probably the fastest team that I've ever seen in my life. Between Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman, you can really even go deeper into the receiver core. They draft speed, and then hope that the skills will come along, and they generally do. And then Travis Kelce, he might not be the burner that those guys are, but he's incredibly fast for a tight end. He's a matchup nightmare. He has excellent hands, and he likes to block. And then in the backfield, hopefully Clyde Edwards-Helaire is much closer to 100% than he's been this postseason. I'd really like to see him healthy. He's an incredible dual threat back. Darrell Williams has really kind of taken over the full load, and he also is a dual threat back. They're both very dynamic. Oh, and then also, you go further down that depth chart, a guy who is widely considered to be the best back in the league for 2 or 3 consecutive seasons in LaShawn McCoy. So they've got weapons up and down the field. I don't see a whole lot of weaknesses on the front there, or at least at the skill positions. Their weakness right now is that they're going to be missing both their left tackle and right tackle, and that only one of their starting linemen this game is starting in his original spot when they kicked off, week 1, and that's the center. And they're playing against a defensive line and a defensive front in Tampa Bay that can put pressure on the quarterback. They're the number one pressuring team in the NFL this year for getting pressure on the quarterback. I think when Vita Vea is on the field, they pressure the quarterback 34% of the snaps, and that's an interior defensive lineman bringing a lot of that. Plus, Ndamukong Suh, you've got Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett on the outside, and that's just at the forefront. If they can get pressure on Mahomes without having to blitz, then this is going to be one hell of a game. If they have to blitz to get pressure on Mahomes, I think they're going to be in trouble. Mahomes is too smart, and he's athletic enough to give himself enough time still to avoid that kind of blitz and then pick you apart wherever that blitz left a hole. But if they can bring pressure with 4, you've got Devin White and Levante David in the middle of that Buccaneers defense, and they are excellent in coverage. They're excellent in stopping the run. So they're playing against a really, really balanced defensive front. So that would be my key for the Buccaneers to slow down the Chiefs, is that defensive line getting in Patrick Mahomes' face, getting him shook, getting him off of his launch points, which is crazy because he also is the best. Technically, if he's running over 8 miles an hour, which is a quarterback on the run by definition right now, he's the number one passer in the league. And he threw 1,000 yards on the run this year. But anyways, on to Tampa Bay offense. I think their biggest thing is going to be taking care of the ball, and that starts with Tom Brady. As excellent as he's been, he's had some ball security issues at times. He's still had a really good season. He's only shown his age here and there. At 43 years old, he still looks really sharp, but it does seem like he tries to force it sometimes, and he doesn't have the zip on the ball that he used to. In their first matchup, he threw 3 picks, and now a couple of them weren't his fault. And that's a lot of his picks this year. I've noticed his interception number doesn't tell a whole story. A lot of those come off the hands of his receivers, but ball security is still. If the Buccaneers as a team turn the ball over a lot, this game could get ugly quickly. I don't think that they will. I think that they're too sharp, too prepared, especially with the week layoff and Tom Brady's intangibles, to lose focus on this. But they've got weapons all over the field too. Your number one wide receiver is Mike Evans, and he is well on his way to a borderline Hall of Fame career, if not kicking the door down, if he continues this pace. Godwin has huge playmaking ability, although he's had some pretty ugly drops, even in the postseason. But he also has bailed Tom Brady out in the postseason. And then Gronkowski's only 100-yard game of the year came in Week 12 against the Chiefs. And he has had a really quiet postseason. Actually, has kind of disappeared this postseason. But in the regular season, he was actually building momentum. He started off really slow, but started to become the Gronk that we kind of remember before he retired. So I'll be keeping my eye on him, obviously. But, yeah, I think their biggest weakness is the Kansas City defense. Tampa Bay's defense is the number 1 defense for pressuring the quarterback. The number 2 defense for pressuring the quarterback is Kansas City. And you've got Frank Clark and Chris Jones, and they can get after a quarterback. And Tom Brady does not have the mobility that Patrick Mahomes does. What he does have is instincts that are basically unmatched. That man can stay standing up as far as him being a statue and not really being able to move. He knows how to work through the pocket, use like just very short, simple movements to get around, outstretched arms, throw around people. He's a crafty motherfucker. So as statuesque as he is, he can still move. But I mean, this is going to be a big test as far as that goes. And that's my biggest takeaways. How about you, man?
um, I got some year stats here. So, passing yards wise, Kansas City was number one. Passing yards with 5,005, 40 passing touchdowns. Uh, but Tampa Bay, number four in
Yes.
passing offense. You got 4,776 yards for 48 touchdowns. Um, rushing wise, uh, Kansas City does have that little edge. They were like 15th. And, but in Tampa Bay's rushing, they really don't have much of it. They're 27th in the league overall rushing, but they still will have more than what Buffalo had. Um, I think with Kansas City, they just need to do what they do. They need to play Kansas City's offense that they've been playing the entire year. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Tampa Bay, I think what they really need to do is they need to run the ball and be able to run the ball to keep Patrick Mahomes and that offense off the field. Also, Kansas City's looking at these same stats that I'm looking at right now and thinking, I don't know if they are, but they could possibly thinking, hey, this is like Buffalo. Buffalo didn't have a run. We're going to make them run the ball to win. And of course, Buffalo couldn't do it, but you got Tampa Bay that's got a Ronald Jones, who is part of that reason why their rushing hasn't been as good, because Ronald Jones has been hurt. He's just now getting back.
Big factor. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Depending, like his health is going to be a big factor in this game. I agree with that.
You got him, because I was looking at the rushers, and he overall in the year he was like 9th or 10th, but he ended up getting hurt. I think that'll play a big part of it. If they can get him going with Fournette, and I mean, this could be a big game for Fournette. You never know. He's been sounding really excited on social media to get in this game, and he has kind of been carrying them rushing wise. So if Ronald Jones is healthy, you got that backup with Fournette. I think that's what Tampa Bay needs to do. Especially, like I said, with them being doubted wise in that rushing. And I think, honestly, all overall offense for both teams, that'll be the biggest thing. I don't see Kansas City. I mean, they're already, I don't want to say their books are gimmicky, but they have a lot of different like plays that, a lot of different style. You got your underneath shovel pass to,
they can catch you off guard. Really.
Yes, but that is their entire offense, and they've been running that all year. So I don't see them really changing that. I mean, Tampa Bay does have a really good defense, but I don't see them changing their offense. I think, like I said, the key to the game will be that rushing of Tampa Bay as far as the offensive goes.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. Like you were talking about, Ronald Jones, if he's healthy, and if him and Fournette, who has shown flashes this year, I mean, even this postseason, Fournette has looked like he could be a lead back at times. If they can both combine and really keep Tampa Bay not just on the field, but like you were talking about, that clock moving, that will be pretty huge, because the last thing you want is Patrick Mahomes with the ball in his hands being able to sling it around to guys who have track speed.
Yep.
Because they can blow up a score in an instant.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, Kelsey, like I said, might not have the speed, but he can break tackles, and he's a dominant big man in the red zone. They can take Well, the first time these teams matched up in Week 12 this year, the score was 17-0 in the first quarter. Tyreek Hill had 200 yards receiving in the first quarter. I mean,
Yeah,
that's how fast it can happen.
yeah, and well, like during the championship game, I mean, you had Hardman who ran that like 50-yard rush. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a huge dagger, and
Mhm.
it's pretty demoralizing when you got that just a kind of end around kind of thing where he just end around rushes and it's a 50-yard gash. So they have that potential.
Yeah.
So let's flip over to the other side of the ball, defensive wise. What are your kind of strengths and weaknesses and big factors in for this game?
Um, I think for Tampa Bay, like I said, it's going to rely heavily on that front seven that I was talking about. Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett are creating havoc in the backfield and making Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable and disrupting his rhythm and timing. That will be huge. Although once again, that man seems like a wizard. I think that he's the most incredible quarterback I've seen with my own two eyes in my lifetime. So easier said than done. But if there are people who can do it, it's those two guys plus Vita Vea and House of Spears anchoring the middle, who also can pressure the quarterback. It's an excellent defensive line. They can attack you a lot of different ways, and they do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say one of the key matchups outside of the defensive front is Carlton Davis, who plays a lot of man and is regarded by some an upper echelon type cornerback and regarded by others as a bit of a liability because as good as he is in press and man, he also tends to be susceptible to getting beat for large gains because of that. And that happened their first matchup. It was largely him on Tyreek Hill for the 200-yard first quarter. And then Tyreek Hill ended up, with a paltry 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. Pretty, average.
Average.
But if you look at Carlton Davis in the second half, he did largely take Tyreek. Now, a lot of that I think was game plan. I think Kansas City kind of took their foot off the pedal. It actually ended up being a game. Final score was 27-24 and came right down to it. I think that a lot of that's the Brady factor. But I also think that there's a lot of defensive adjustments. And Carlton Davis, he played a little bit looser and not as aggressive. Because the thing is, if you let Tyreek Hill get behind you or if you're too close to him in front of you and he can make you miss, I mean, he's gone. That's off the basis. I think that's my biggest matchup to watch outside of the defensive front against the depleted Kansas City O-line would be Carlton Davis on guys like Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman. On the other side, for Kansas City, I don't know. They're talented at pretty much every position. That defense is really underrated. They underperform sometimes, but that's kind of what we talked about early on in the season with like Alabama football. When your offense scores all the time and so fast and you're on the field all the time, you're not going to look as good. What you need to look at is the final score. Did they hold the other team to less points than what their offense gave them? And 14 times out of 16 attempts, yes, they did. And same thing last year, and really same thing the year before. People don't tout the Chiefs' defense a lot, but once again, it's the second highest pressure for the quarterback this year. And I think the playmaker to keep your eyes on is Tyrann Mathieu. If you take out their defensive front with Frank Clark and Chris Jones, who are excellent players, I think Tyrann Mathieu, because he's going to blitz, he's going to drop into coverage, he's going to make Brady think he's fading one way and then all of a sudden be on the other side of the field. He is, and now Brady's a vet, and so he'll be expecting this kind of stuff. But Tyrann Mathieu, the honey badger himself, his instincts are way up there. So I would keep my eye on him to make some plays and really disrupt the game.
All right. Defensive wise, I mean, it seems like Kansas City's defense has looked better throughout the playoffs. But they did have some close calls. I mean, you had a Tampa Bay who had that close call with Washington. I mean, that was a huge selling point for me to pick against them. The divisional and the conference championship games was that performance. Then, of course, that was a one-time performance. Kansas City, same thing with the Browns. They let them hang in. But even against Buffalo, too, Kansas City, it did kind of look like, I don't know, Buffalo was still able to score on them. It was garbage time. I think Kansas City's offense was, doing run the clock out, punt kind of time, so that could have something to do with it. They also did get an onside kick, so there was some more points there. But overall, throughout the year, like you've said, the front is for Tampa Bay is the best to get pressure. They have the most sacks. They've also given up the fewest rushing yards and fewest rushing touchdowns. But Kansas City's rushing has, they've given up some chunks of yards, but they have only given up 14 touchdowns this year. So again, I really think it's going to come to rushing with this, because against Buffalo, Kansas City's secondary looked great. Like the announcer kept saying they were just like they were stuck on them all the time, the whole time. They were stuck on the receivers. And Tampa Bay, I mean, you're talking about going up against Aaron Rodgers, who had a hell of a year, and they ended up going into Green Bay and beating that Green Bay offense. So this is it's going to be a fun game. Both of these defenses are really good,
and they're sneaky good. Yeah, they're especially I'd say the Chiefs. Tampa Bay's defense has, in large part throughout the season, carried that team. Not to say that their offense has been bad. Obviously, they have been very good in spots, but they get stuck in mud sometimes. Yeah. That Tampa Bay defense, for the most part, does not disappear. It is always that solid. The only time, where they've really gotten their ass kicked was, one half of football against the team that they're about to play. Now they've gotten their ass kicked a few times, but once again, they've by and large been really, really solid.
They seem to be really great against adversity. You look at that NFC Championship game where, Tom Brady threw 3 picks in the second half, yet they only let Green Bay get 6 points out of it.
Yeah. So,
I mean, they're good at going out there. Okay, let's clean up the old man's mess. Okay, let's clean this up his mess again. Well, and it seemed like, I know against the Saints, they did a lot to help Brady keep a short field throughout the game.
Well, I mean, in this postseason, they have 7 takeaways. 5 of those are picks, and 4 of those picks came against Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees.
Yes.
First ballot Hall of Famers. If they, Drew Brees his career might be over. I don't know about Aaron Rodgers. He still has plenty of gas left in the tank after an MVP season, but seems a little dejected. Listen to his post-game comments, man. That guy sounded like he just come back from war. But still, I mean, they harassed 2 of the game's greatest.
Yeah. And all right.
I think that they're about to see. It's baby goat versus the goat.
Yeah.
So it'll be a fun matchup. Very fun.
It will be. I don't see a big blowout. I don't think this is going to be a snoozer. This is going to be a close game. These, like you said earlier, this is a great matchup. This is probably the best matchup that could have probably happened, and it's just crazy to think though that Tampa Bay came in as a wild card.
Oh yeah. I mean, they really had to find themselves as a team, but they got hot at the right time. I think they're on a 7-game win streak right now, maybe an 8-game win streak. Patrick Mahomes, personally, they lost week 17, but that's because Kansas City benched all their starters, including Patrick Mahomes. He's on a 12-game win streak, and his only playoff loss in his career was in the AFC Championship game versus Tom Brady a couple years ago.
Yep.
Otherwise, he is undefeated in the playoffs. So he's off to a pretty hot start at the ripe age of 25.
Yep. It's weird looking at these players. It's like I've talked about a couple months ago on our fantasy football stream, but it was like DJ Fluker, and I saw him on like one of the teams. I was like, man, that guy's old. He's still playing. And I went and looked up his age, and he's freaking younger than I am.
Oh man, it's crazy how that happens. I mean, and it happens so quick. But as far as just a quick sidebar, I hadn't even really planned on this. I don't really have notes on it, but I've heard a lot of people talking about, does Patrick Mahomes have a chance to surpass Tom Brady as the GOAT? And what would that take? Because right now, obviously, they get to face off.
Yeah.
So obviously, a big step towards that would be beating him head-to-head in the Super Bowl. Robbing Tom Brady of number 7, being a 70% winner, 7 out of 10 Super Bowl appearances winning, and then himself being 2 for 2.
I think he's got the potential to be it. If he stays on the team and they keep the weapons that they have and they keep spending the money that they are spending, I think he does have the potential to do it. And I think he will, sooner or later, he will have to do what Tom Brady did in New England, where he would take a pay cut to get a certain receiver or something like that, to get more players in there. He would take a pay cut to do that. And I think sooner or later, Patrick Mahomes will have to do the same thing. Is he willing to do that? We're just going to have to see about it.
See, that was my very next point, which really is Santana's point that I had forgotten about. I was talking with Santana yesterday, it's a mutual friend of mine and Normie's. And I had forgotten about that. And he said he doesn't think that anyone will touch Tom Brady's legacy as the GOAT, because Patrick Mahomes just took the record deal for quarterbacks of all time. I mean, he's on that deal right now. I can't remember what that astronomical number is right now. But Tom Brady took pay cuts for the vast majority of his career, if not every single year. Maybe even when he moved to Tampa Bay, I think he probably went underneath his market value, although I think he got paid a lot more than what he had generally been getting paid, but then still surrounded himself with weapons.
Yeah.
You know who he wanted to go get between Gronk and Antonio Brown and some of those other guys. But yeah, I mean, to be that good for that long and have all of those rings and accolades, it takes a lot of selflessness.
Yep.
And that's not really what pops to mind when I think of the name Tom Brady. But that's exactly what it took to get him to where he is.
Yeah. I mean, and it, like I said, it's going to, we'll see that in the next couple of years. I think next year, Kansas City will probably be back to where they were. But even after that, I think it'll be okay. What are you willing to do so we can put a team together that can make it back to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And then also in that argument, Belichick was with Brady for most of his run. Obviously, as far as the chicken and the egg, kind of looks more like Tom Brady rather than the Bill for right now. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
that's exactly the case, just, knee jerk reaction based on Tom Brady leaves and the Patriots missed the playoffs for the first time and well, since Tom Brady. And
Yeah.
I actually think they missed it one time when he was hurt as well.
He
But
was
still,
out for
once
the
again,
ACL.
yeah, not Tom Brady. And I think they were 11 wins then, too. Is that Matt Castle's year? It doesn't matter. But so Belichick and Brady had a 20 years basically together. Mahomes is not feasibly going to be able to get that with Reed. I mean, Reed's 62 right now.
Yeah. And he's not the best of shape either.
He doesn't look like the healthiest man.
Well, with the Belichick thing, I think we're a little too early on that. It's been one season with a washed up quarterback who really didn't seem like he gave two fucks. Honestly, Cam Newton didn't. He didn't. All he was looking for was the paycheck, and
His
then
paycheck was tiny. There's bias on this.
hey
It's like a
hey, it's money. It's better.
or something.
It's better than sitting at home making $0.
Uh,
Uh,
I think he's just. I think he's his body is broken, man.
yeah,
I think. I think he cares a lot. Like watching him get more and more dejected. First off, he is a bit of a head case. I think if he has bad games and can't rebound, he goes to a really dark place, and that affects his play. But then also, I mean, he started off the year looking pretty decent, and then once he starts taking hits again, he just falls apart. I just think that his body has given up on him. I just he can't do the things that made him great anymore. I don't think it was about a matter of care, and that's not even me coming to the defense of Cam.
hey, Kent.
Yep.
That Auburn Cam Newton jersey is really dusty. Okay, you might want to take it out of the closet, dust it off a little bit.
Look, I might have bias, but I think that you do too, as far as saying you didn't care. Now, now, there's plenty of times over his career in the NFL where I've thought his body language is bad and it's more about him than the team, etc. This year, I actually didn't get that. It seemed like he was like, "This is on me. I'm playing poorly. This is on me." He kind of took that all on, but I also think that might have caused him to implode even more. I think he dwelled on it, but I don't know. I agree with you though, as far as it being a knee jerk reaction to the Belichick thing. If he gets a quarterback in there that can turn things around really quickly, plus they had I think 5 starters and 1 contributor opt out due to the pandemic preseason, and they have no weapons. I mean, no weapons. Even if you put a prolific quarterback underneath center, their offensive line is average at best. And then your number one receiver is Julian Edelman, who is 34 or 35 and has never been a guy that attacks the top of a defense.
Yeah.
He can attack the middle and underneath, and he has great yards after catch ability, but he is not burning you deep ever. And then the guys who can burn you deep on New England, first off, you don't know their names because they got case of the drops. And that's the thing, even going back to Tom Brady's days when they got some guys, it's like, hey, this guy's a speedster out of, F of A University. And it's like, okay, yeah, he can run deep and then drop the ball.
Yeah. I think they rested on their laurels a little bit. I just really feel like they did not plan this out very well. And I don't know if that's a general manager thing. I mean, they had to know, even if Tom Brady was still playing for them, next year I mean, you have to have a contingency plan. You have to be somewhat trying to rebuild. You know, they've never been really big in the draft, but at this point, it's kind of like you got to get on that now. Tom Brady's not going to be there forever, and I don't think they really plan much ahead.
Yeah, oh yeah, I agree with you. I think that's why Tom Brady kind of hinted at leaving even when he was playing last year.
Mm-hmm.
That this franchise has done a whole lot for me, but it is now stuck in its mindset. Like, this is how we win. This is how we're going to win. And he realized uh, we're not going to be able to win like that. Like, I have to have weapons. And then he goes to Tampa Bay, which already has Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who are one of your better wide receiver tandems in the NFL. And then I think they already had Cameron Brate as well, one of your better tight ends. They bring in Gronk, bring in Antonio Brown. Scotty Miller's really come on. And then also brought in pass protection. And I can't remember their names. Brought in 2 or 3, really, really solid offensive linemen. And so it's like as soon as he got there, they're like, okay, you want weapons, you want tools, we'll give it to you. Whereas Belichick and Kraft is like, no, we don't need bells and whistles or this, that, or the other. We, trust the process. Yeah, but the process still takes Jimmy's and Joe's, and we're running out of those.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. All right. So we did offense, we did defense. There are 3 phases of the game. So we got special teams. What you got on special teams?
Well, Harrison Butker is arguably the second best kicker in the NFL, except for this year. He has had a really shaky year. I think he's missed 7 extra points, which is either first most or tied for second most. And some crucial misses. Some of his missed field goals allowed the Browns to climb into the game. He's just not been himself. But as far as an NFL prop bet that I believe in, and I don't know why, I think Harrison Butker hits a crucial 51-plus yarder to make something. And now that I've said that, I know that he's going to have a 51-plus yarder, and he's going to triple doink that thing from upright to crossbar.
Other upright.
Out. I know that I just did that. I'm sorry, Harrison Butker. I've got no ill will towards you. I actually really respect you as a kicker. But on the other side of that, what the hell is his name? The Tampa Bay kicker, whose name I'm blanking on. I wish I'd written it down. He's been really solid too, but I believe he missed an extra point last game. But otherwise, he has been. In fact, he's 8 for 8 on his last 8 field goal attempts, and the only hiccup he's had is missing an extra point. And he has also missed a lot of extra points.
Speaking of hiccups, it is suck up.
Ryan Suckup. There we go. Man, that's killing me. But yeah, so that's the kicking game. They're both really, really excellent kickers. Butker's kind of a young gun with a big cannon for a leg. Suckup doesn't have the distance, but he's super solid, very consistent. But both of them have had very crucial, weird, uncharacteristic mishaps this year. So that's something to keep your eye on for sure. As far as the return game goes, I'm going to leave that to you.
Return game wise, I mean, it's got to go to Kansas City. You got Hardman. I mean, he's at a lot of yards.
That's all you need to say is Hardman, man.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay does have kickoff wise. They do have the most kickoff return yards. Of course, they do take a lot of touchbacks, and I think the touchbacks go into that. I'm not really sure how they do kickoff return yards in the NFL. but it looked like Tampa Bay had the most. Um, but uh, Kansas City does have one kickoff return for a touchdown and one punt return for a touchdown this year, and that's all Hardman. Also, they got Tyreek Hill, who has a lot of experience doing that as well.
Yeah.
And if they got into a crucial spot, they could throw him back there.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me even one little bit. I think a lot of them getting Hardman is to take over some of the nitty gritty stuff that Hill was doing. Their skill set is so similar. It's
Yeah.
just Hill is more polished and instinctual, but Hardman is he's younger. I mean, they're both so old. I believe 25 for Hill and 22 for Hardman. Those old bastards.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hill has more experience and more polish, a little bit more instincts right now. But yeah, I think if it got into a pinch and they really needed some explosion back there, it wouldn't shock me to see Hill back there, fielding some kicks or some punts to see what spark he gave. But they're both just so fast, very elusive. They are just deadly, deadly players. I would agree. I would give the return game an edge to Kansas City. I would give almost every aspect of this game an edge to Kansas City. The intangible factor is Gronkowski or Tom Brady.
Well, going into that, let's get to our final picks and our final thoughts on the game. And I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. Well, I've really, really gone back and forth on this. Vegas has Kansas City at -3. And then some lines have them at -3.5. And I started off the week thinking that it was going to be them maybe in a runaway. Just because as good as Tampa Bay is at all three phases, they seem slightly less. That if they're on level 7 or 8 at offense, then Kansas City's 9 or 10. And if they're at level, 7 or 8 on defense, maybe Kansas City's also a 7 or 8, but talent wise, they're more like an 8 or 9. And then special teams, Tampa Bay's really solid. Kansas City's above average. So I thought this was going to be easy to pick Kansas City, but the more this week has gone on, the more I think about the Tom Brady factor. And I'm not willing to pick Tampa Bay. I'm going to pick Kansas City, and I think they're going to cover the 3-point spread. But this will be the first back-to-back Super Bowl champion since Tom Brady's Patriots did it back in 03 and 04. And we forget how easy Tom Brady has made it look to go to and win Super Bowls. And that is the man on the other side of Kansas City's victory. That's the mountain they have to climb and topple. And that is much easier said than done. I'm still going to go Kansas City. I think a final score of maybe 40-35. But it wouldn't shock me if Tampa Bay won. It could go either way. I'm really excited. This is a Super Bowl I'm more fired up about than most.
Alrighty. Yeah, I mean, you got Kansas City's offense is they've proven it on the field all year long. My concerns are those tackles with Tampa Bay's front, and then like you said, that Tom Brady factor. My prediction is Patrick Mahomes goes down, scores it. They give it back to Brady. Brady goes down and throws it to not one of their main weapons. Either it's a suck up field goal
Or
or
Scott Miller.
or a Cameron Brate, Scotty Miller touchdown.
Yeah.
And I got Tampa Bay in a very, very close one. Either late field goal or a huge shot. And even getting to that field goal, it'll be one of those that they do not expect it. It's going to be that Miller or Bright that gets that big play. I've been against them all playoff. I almost picked them in the championship game and I didn't. Um, I've bet against them this whole time, and I'm not doing it this time.
Not going to get bit by that same snake.
I really feel like their defense is going to keep them in, and I really honestly feel like they are going to run the ball more than they have, and they're going to lean on that a lot, and that's going to be a huge part of their game plan to keep Mahomes off the field, and it'll be something that they are not expecting, especially with Ronald Jones being hurt. If he can get back to, I mean, he's had flashes of where he normally is at, but I think this extra week will help him get to where he's close to 100%. And I really do feel like it is Brady that takes it in the end. They take it at home. That being said, I will let everybody know about my terrible record in the Super Bowl. I think there has been maybe one time that I was actually pulling for the team that they won. I think it was the Saints that year. And anytime I've pulled against Brady, they've won. Anytime I pulled for Brady, they've lost. I pulled for the Rams that year. Tom Brady won. I may have pulled for him that year. I think I did pull that year. The year the New England won every single game except the Super Bowl because I wanted to see an undefeated season. I
Yep.
pulled for him then. So
the second matchup with the Giants.
Yeah,
apparently Eli Manning is Tom Brady's kryptonite.
Yep, just like Gus Malzahn with Sabins.
Yeah. Well, he's the only man who can out cosmic luck Tom Brady. Because if you look at some of Tom Brady's wins, obviously it's the fact that he's one of the greatest quarterbacks that's ever done it, and was with the perfect organization, perfect coach, great supporting cast. But there is a lot of weird shit that has happened. Speaking of your Falcons, there's a lot of stars that have had to align for him to win some of the ones that he's won. And some of the games that to get there, like the forward motion rule, there's a lot of things that have had to happen, but luck is where preparation meets opportunity.
Yep. Well,
and no one can say that they prepare more than Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Nobody. I mean, what he does for training and in on the field, off the field, that man is dedicated to his craft.
Well, you even had that year that it didn't go Tom Brady's way, where Nick fucking Foles. I mean, Nick Foles beat him in the Super Bowl.
It's
so, got this MVP.
It's so funny that Tom Brady's kryptonite are Eli Manning, who, in my opinion, is, I guess he's a Hall of Famer. He has pretty good stats.
He won't be a first ballot.
Oh, and also I want to retract something I said. I can't remember which episode. I think probably episode 2. I said Phillip Rivers was a first ballot Hall of Famer. I was drunk that episode. I do not believe that Phillip Rivers is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think him and Eli, if they get in, maybe they get in on the same ballot, a few ballots afterwards. I don't think either one of them have done enough. But what Eli does have is he went head-to-head with Tom Brady twice in the big one
Yeah.
and won them both. So that
With with they didn't shoot themselves in the foot until after the Super Bowl. Plaxico Burress.
I
Oh,
so some ending thoughts on this. I've got just one really weird stat. So what would you give up to see your team win a Super Bowl? And this is out of 10,000 people polled. There's only 4 options, but just, off the top of your head, what would you give up?
see this one to me, because I'm not as big an NFL fan.
Yeah, you're more on the college
I'm more
side.
on the college side, and then it's like at this point, I
Okay.
mean,
I'll go a little bit off of our Super Bowl topic. Would you rather Bama win the national championship in basketball this year and sacrifice a football championship in the fall and winter? Or would you rather Bama basketball, Bama basketball and choke out and whatever, maybe bump in the Sweet 16 or the round of 32, but then, another football championship come December, January?
definitely another football championship. I will say I have enjoyed a lot of Bama basketball. I've watched a lot of it over the years, these past like 3 or 4 years, and I've gotten more and more and more into it. But yeah, definitely another football one.
Yeah, I figured that. Yeah, I figured that's what you'd say. I saw a poll online from a local broadcast, and it was it was like a 53-47 split, and 53% of Bama fans say that they would rather have the national basketball championship because it's something they've never seen, never experienced. And obviously, I mean, if you're what 12 years old, you've experienced 6 football national championships. It's always a big deal, but it's kind of not that big a deal.
Yeah. And if you're also 12 years old, you've never seen Tennessee beat Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, so I saw this stat. I thought this was interesting, so I wrote this one down. In this poll, like I said, I think it was of 10,000 people. 52% of people say that they would give up their vacation days for 1 year to see their team win a Super Bowl.
Wow.
31% of people say that they would give up their annual bonus to see their team win a Super Bowl. Now,
What the hell's an annual bonus?
Yeah, no kidding, man. What's your job?
Yeah.
I mean, like when I get taxes?
Yeah, right?
So more hardcore fans, 14% of people said that they would give up their saving accounts balances for their team to
Wow.
win the Super Bowl. And the truly hardcore fans here, 3% of people say that they would give up their 401k for their team to win a Super Bowl.
Sorry, Jets fans. Browns fans. That's just too much.
Those are probably the ones who'd be willing to risk it.
That's what I'm saying. That's definitely the Browns
Maybe
and
my
Jets
team can
fans.
do it. Yeah, exactly. Maybe my team can do it without me giving up anything, or cutting the head off of a chicken, and
Yeah.
some voodoo guys. But yeah, I guess if you're a Jets fan, that's it's going to take your 401k.
Yeah.
That might take all 4. You might have to give all 4 of these up. Anyways, I thought that was interesting. Just how rabid people are about this one game, especially if you do have a dog in the fight. Once again, I don't, but I'm about as pumped for this Super Bowl as I was for the Rams and the Patriots a couple years ago.
Yeah, I'm ready for this one, and I'm ready for one of my teams that I'm pulling for to win. I have watched it more, especially because of this show. I've watched more of the playoffs, so I feel stronger about my pick. And speaking of Sunday, I will be doing a watch along. I won't be able to show it, or you won't be able to hear it on this, but I will be commenting directly with the Super Bowl. Cunyato will pop in and out as he can. He's got a big party to go to. I'm a I'm a married guy, so I'm at home. but he
Well,
will be popping in.
and there's a pretty decent chance at halftime you might see a guest appearance from Santana,
Some
somebody
Santana.
that you guys have heard about here and there, but never actually seen or heard. He, as far as somebody who loves sports, specifically football, he's he probably surpasses me and maybe even Normie. He's an annoying ass, but he does know his shit.
He does, and we'll have probably have some other friends on here as well, other guests. So should be a fun time. Like I said, we should be able to do that. I'm gonna have to do some rearranging over here to do it, but it should be fine. And yeah, I think I don't have much anything else. You got anything else, Cunyato?
Good watching to everybody. Enjoy your Sunday. Stay safe. Have great food. Maybe next week for a recap, let's talk about best sports foods because I'm still trying to hammer down my Sunday menu. But otherwise, no, I'm just ready to. I'm ready to get to kickoff. I love my weekend, and I generally don't like to wish them away, but I would almost skip Saturday just to get to Sunday this weekend.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm ready for this game. I'm done talking about it, and I want to see it.
Bingo. Yeah.
Well, all righty, everybody. Thanks for listening in. It's been a great show, and I guess we'll see y'all next time. See you Sunday.
Sayonara, folks.